All right, and today we're going to talk about pressure conversions. We got a few practice problems that are going to come from this sheet, and I'm going to work through a few of these questions and get them answered. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I got my scratch paper and I got a sheet of white paper. And so I'm going to look at the first question, which says the pressure is recorded at 738 millimeters of mercury. Convert this measurement to atmosphere. Um, Gas pressure conversions are just an extension of dimensional analysis. And so in order to solve these type of questions, you need to know what you have and what you're trying to convert to. Now the unit of measure that we're starting with is millimeters of mercury. And using the factor label approach, I always write it as kind of a fraction. And then my next unit ends up being kind of what I'm converting. And so I'm converting between ATMs, atmospheres rather, and millimeters of mercury. And if I look on my chart, I believe that conversion is included um, right there. And so I know that 760 millimeters of mercury is equal to 1 ATM or atmosphere. And all I have to do now is to solve by simply dividing 738 by 760. Now, this ends up being my answer. If I cared significantly about significant figures, my answer would probably be 3 sig figs. So that answer ends up being 971, and that's ATMs for number one. All right, I'm going to next look at another question. Question number two. And question number two actually says, a ball is inflated to a pressure of 32 pounds per square inch. Convert this pressure to atmospheres. So for number two, I'm looking at my 32, and if memory serves me correctly, pounds per square inch is a reference for PSI. And PSI is actually one of those common pressure conversions used for tires and footballs, hopefully not Deflategate. So 32 PSI over 1, and you're going to convert that to atmospheres. Well, the conversion that I'm going to pull from here is this guy here. 14.7 PSI is equal to 1 ATM. And so to solve that, I simply put my 14.7 PSI on the bottom, my 1 atmosphere on the top, and then I divide by taking the 32 and dividing that by 14.7. And again, depending on how many significant figures I want to use, I think I'll go ahead and use 3. My answer would look like 2.18 ATMs. All right. So let's look at number 3. Number 3 states that what is the pressure in pascals if the pressure is equal to 380 torr? So in this question, I'm going from torr to pascals. So I say 380 torr over 1. Put that in parentheses. And if we recall, we're going from torr to pascals. Now, there's not a direct relationship between torr and pascals, but I know that torr, 760 torr is equal to 1 ATM, and I also know that 1 ATM is equal to this number for pascals, 101,300. So, for me, you can write it one or two ways, but I kind of eliminate the middleman of 1 ATM since I'm going to pascals, and I go ahead and put my 760 torr down here. Let me move it up just for clarity purposes. And then I incorporate my pascals. And so for this one, I'm going to take my 380, divide by 760, and multiply that by the 101,300. So 380 divided by 760. I'm going to multiply that by 101, 300. And that ends up being 50,650. And the units there is pascals. Alright. Alright, now let's look at number 4. Number 4 states that the air pressure in a tire is 238. Where am I getting these numbers from? Excuse me. 2.38 ATMs. And they want me to convert that to kilopascals. And if you recall the chart, it almost makes it cookie cutter where you just plug and play. So I know that 1 ATM is going to be equal to 101.3 kilopascals. And so for that question, all I have to do is multiply 2.38 by 101.3. And that's my answer, which I need to account for sig figs. That ends up being 241 kPa. And let's just go ahead and do one more for the road. Let's look at number 5. Number 5 features the atmosphere supports a column of mercury that's 748 millimeters in height. What is the atmospheric pressure in torr? Convert this pressure to atmosphere. So this one's a lot easier, I guess, because you have your millimeters of mercury, and you're going to convert this guy. Remember, we're converting this guy first to atmospheric torr. Now, I don't know if you can get this from the relationship, but 1 atmosphere is equal to 760 millimeters of mercury. 1 atmosphere is equal to 760 torr. So 760 millimeters of mercury is equal to 760 torr, or 1 millimeter of mercury is equal to 1 millimeter of torr. So using this kind of understanding, I understand that 1 torr is equal to 1 millimeter of mercury. Therefore, this is equal to 748 torr. But we still need to convert that to ATMs. And with that, we understand that 748 torr can be converted to atmospheres similarly by saying 760 torr is equal to 1 ATM. And when you solve, you divide 748 by 760. And that gives you an answer of 0.984, which, remember, we're going off 3 sig figs, and that is our ATMs. And so, as much as I would love to sit here and do more of the gas pressure conversions, I think that the point has been reached. It's very similar to dimensional analysis, but it is very invaluable as a preceding step before you solve any kind of other gas laws where pressure units are very vital for solving.